Hello, today I wanted to shoot a video about your tips to save money after college. This video is really geared towards young adults who just graduated, but I work with a lot of families and I see a lot of parents who need this kind of advice as well. So this one is for those of you right out of college and you're starting your life, and how do you get ahead of the curve? How do you get ahead of the money curve? So what are the top tips to save money after college and really get your financial life in order now that you're really truly an adult? So tip number one, live like a college student a little longer. Probably a lot longer, but that's okay. One thing I tend to see students do is they finish college, they're like, oh, I have a little extra money, and they start spending. And they start spending a lot. You guys are lucky. I graduated in the recession. The jobs were few and far between. There was not any extra money, but so it's great. It's a good economy, and you're getting paid a little bit better. But you guys, you don't make very good money yet, so you need to keep living like a college student, probably for honestly another 5 years after college graduation at least. You really need to start getting your budget in order, start saving, that kind of thing. What I find is brunches become more frequent. You're going out to happy hours, more vacations. I mean, all these costs really add up and you're actually not making as good of money. So keep living like a college student. You can still live with a roommate. You don't need super expensive furniture. You might want to upgrade to IKEA furniture. I know I had all used hand-me-down furniture at that age, so if you want to get some new stuff, you're still looking at IKEA and cheaper things. You don't get the expensive furniture yet. You're still driving an old car for a while. I mean, these kinds of things, you need to keep still living frugally for a little while longer and start saving and start paying off any student loans you have, those kinds of things, because it's going to get more expensive down the road, and it's a lot harder to rein it back later than it is to slowly increase those expenses as it becomes, more natural to do so. Number two, understand the cost of kids and be really honest with yourself. I'm in a situation where I'm not married with children. I'm one of the few single people of my age group left. All of my friends are married and the large majority of them have children. And so I've heard it all, you guys. And I come from a big family. I have 30 cousins. I grew up with a lot of kids, and so I get it. But a lot of people, they're just not honest with themselves about what they can afford. Even with insurance, it still costs about that's after insurance pays for stuff, it still costs about $5,000 just for the medical expenses to have a baby. I know nationwide, it's just under $1,000 a month for childcare. In the Seattle area, it's about $1,200 a month for childcare. That's for one child. That doesn't count when you have two kids. And so kids are very expensive just for the childcare, the medical costs. And that's, God forbid, that's if you have a healthy baby. I have a lot of friends who have kids with lots of different medical issues, and it just gets really expensive. And, once they come, you can't take it back. So, you really need to be honest about, can you really afford to have children, and really run those numbers. And if you cannot be objective about it, I highly recommend going and seeing a financial advisor, or if you have a frugal friend like myself who would sit down and really be honest with you about what you can afford in your budget, I would highly encourage that, so that you have a really good idea of what you can and can't afford, and if you really are financially ready to have children. Number three, master debt. I see a lot of people, once they get out of college, they go into a lot of debt. And again, this goes back to living like a college student a little longer. All of a sudden they're gaining credit card points, and they're, going on extended vacations, and, it's easy to go into more debt. And you just really want to make sure that you're living within your means a little bit longer. If you have debt, you have student loans, you need to start paying those down as much as you can. So debt is one of those things where, it's it can be so hard to get out of, and it can get out of control very quickly. And so you want to keep a rein on it before it gets out of control. The next one, number four, is wants versus needs, and understand what a want is versus what a need is. And I'm a big Susie Orman fan, so if you watch Susie Orman, she talks about this a lot. But you want to live within your needs, not necessarily within your wants. So what do you need? You need a car to get around. You do not need an Audi or a BMW, unless it's a really old BMW or something, right? So you need a house. You do not need a 3,000 square foot house. Okay, you need something that will keep you safe on the road, but not something that necessarily is really nice right now. That can come later in life if you learn how to live within that. You know, you need food. You do not need to shop at, you know, some really expensive grocery store that I see people shopping at all the time. You know, like you need to choose those things. You need food. You don't need to go out to eat every day. So really stay within your needs. And one habit I started getting into in my early 20s when, again, I graduated during the recession, so I didn't have these like awesome little extra disposable income like a lot of the new grads have. So I had to ask myself that. I would be at the grocery store and I'd ask myself, like, do I need this or do I want this? And you guys, there were times where I actually was in need. Like I needed it, but I was like, ooh, but I don't need it today. I need it in 4 days. So I'm going to wait, 4 days or a week until, maybe I can put in some extra overtime and then I can get that or, whatever. But it's a good habit to get into asking yourself, do I want this or do I need this? And if it's a high need, then you can get it. But if it's not, put it back on the shelf. The next one is understanding the time value of money. You are very lucky if you're in your early 20s right now that you have so many years. You graduated during this great economy and you can start investing. What is that? Einstein said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world or something, whatever that quote is. But you have a lot of years for interest to compound. You have a lot of years to invest. You have a great economy. It has not always been that way. It will not always be that way. And so it's really important that, again, you keep your debt low and that you start investing and start building that retirement now that you have that luxury, while you don't have kids or while you don't have a mortgage payment or whatever, but you have time right now, and that's a lot more than most people have. There are so many people. I work with parents every day. I don't know if they're ever going to be able to retire because they can't keep their spending under control. And some of that's, not necessarily their fault. It could be like a health issue that happened, but a lot of it is like they just give way too much to their kids or they just buy too much stuff or like whatever. And they're in their 50s and they don't have time to make up that cost. And so, understand that time value of money and that you need to start now. It's easier to save $100, $200, $300, $400 now than it will be to save $1,000 a month when you're in your 50s. So that's another little tip. And the last one this is a really good one. This is one most people never talk about, but it is create a board of professionals. You need your own board. And what do I mean by that? You're not going to understand all this stuff inside and out, nor should you ever be expected to. You need to know enough that you don't get screwed over, but you're not going to be a tax expert. You need a CPA. You're not going to be, a financial expert. You need a financial advisor. You need someone who understands investments inside and out. You're going to probably need a banker, an attorney, but you're going to need your board of professionals that you can go to who are experts in their fields, who know what they're talking about, and can give you really good, sound advice, people that you can trust. So having that board of professionals will really save you a lot of time and a lot of stress, knowing that you have someone you can trust handling these kinds of complex life issues that are definitely going to come up. So I hope you found these helpful. Those are like my kind of the top things. If you're right out of college, those are really good, helpful things I wish more people talked about. So I hope you found it helpful. I'd love to hear your comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.